Okay.
But I mean, if it's holding, it's holding.
It's yeah. Let me double check.
From one of the news stations, so one is and then this one
It is what it is.
Miles, Chief Staff for Jim Desmond.
Well, so my organization is
Hi. Thank
All right, 1 minute. 1 minute.
I would like for you to go.
176.
Oh, you're going to go after Peter San Nicholas,
Yes, I can.
Ramona Fitness Center.
So about 2 to the mayor and Oklahoma, 3 to some like 4:40. And I'll stand up here.
Oh,
Kaz, it's Elroy. You're on the camera. All right. Can you? I just need visuals. My camera's a little trippy. Is the iris okay for you?
okay. Well,
Do you prefer one? Yes, I do.
test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Yeah, just make sure you get close. Keep testing. Test
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Test 1 2 3.
We're gonna mask up.
Test 1 2 3. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Good afternoon, San Diego. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. My name is Amy Reichert. I am one of the co-organizers here for Reopen San Diego, and that's why you're all here too. I am a licensed private investigator in the state of California, in America's finest city, and it doesn't take an investigator to see that this is not adding up. And what the governor announced today, he basically shut down the entire state. So thank you. The timing is everything. We have some wonderful speakers today. We have the vice chairman of the County Board of Supervisors, Jim Desmond. We have the mayor of the great city of El Cajon, Bill Wells. And right out there, that beautiful island, we have the mayor of Coronado. We have doctors on our side. We have nurses on our side. We have data experts. But most importantly, the people. So right now, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, the Vice Chairman of the County Board of Supervisors, Jim Desmond. Give him a round of applause.
All right, thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody for being here. This is a very important moment for San Diego County and for California. And it's not really a choice between opening businesses or saving lives. We can do both. We can do both at the same time. So as I stand here today, I stand here looking out over San Diegans who are hurting. San Diegans have put their blood, their sweat, their tears into starting, managing, and running a business. Employees that have worked for you for years. Some of them feel like family. All of those years together, all your savings are going to be wiped out in this yo-yo effect of opening and closing businesses in San Diego County. We have businesses that are being punished despite not being the cause of the outbreaks. Businesses who followed the protocols, who followed all the protocols of the masks and washing hands, they are being punished. We have the entire county being punished despite being well under the national positivity rate. Nationwide, the case per 100,000 is 42 per 100,000. Here in San Diego County, it's 13, and we're closing down businesses. And the sad reality is we have other problems as well in how people are coping with these shutdowns. Our drug overdoses in San Diego County are tripling. Rady's Children's Hospital has seen a substantial increase in suicide attempts and physical abuse and sexual abuse. There's been an increase in internet crimes against children because minors are spending more time on the internet now than they were at school. Our kids, our loved ones are suffering physically and mentally while government tells the people to abide by one set of rules but follows another. Yeah. In San Diego County, we still have over 250 ICU beds that have never been touched and remain untouched throughout the course of this pandemic. We have the capacity to handle surges. We have the capacity to handle any sicknesses. Thank you and thanks to the County of San Diego and the public officials that work here in this building. So why are the case rates going up? You hear all the news about the case rates just coming up recently. It's primarily due to inept government. Inept government causing bad human behavior and, in some cases, complacency. People have become complacent due to inconsistent messages from the states constantly moving the goalposts, from a tier system with no green stage or no green light. We've got Gavin Newsom going to dinner parties with 12 other people. And we've got Nancy Pelosi going and getting her hair done when other people can't. And they wonder why our case rates are going up. They wonder why our positivity is going up. It's primarily because of the messaging coming from the state and the inaccuracies and the hypocrisies of seeing some stores open and some stores not, some restaurants open, some not. And it's absurd that churches and places of worship can't even have up to 100 people indoors anymore. But there's adult entertainment establishments, strip clubs, that can operate indoors without any enforcement. So how can we sit back and really let this happen? The state recently moved salons and barbershops and tattoo parlors into the purple tier. They can still continue to operate. We should include those businesses that were operating in red to operate in purple. The museums, the churches, the restaurants, the gyms should all be allowed to operate the capacities they had last week. So I want to see forward progress. I know we are the land of opportunity, and the opportunity is to both fight the virus and open our economy. We want to keep the businesses open again. Businesses that were open last week, who according to our numbers here at the county, are not the problem. They are not the cause. They are the answer. Once again, this is not a choice between opening up businesses or saving lives. We can do both. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Desmond, for those great words. And you know what, let's just take a time out right here. We're going to do a little cheer. When I say open, you say Diego. Open. Diego. Open. Diego. Open. Diego. Thank you very much. All right, we got East County in the house. Mayor Bill Wells, everybody.
Hi, everybody. How are you today? Thank you so much for coming out. I want to thank Amy for inviting me and all the other people that organized this great event. There is more to living than being afraid to die. every day we have to make choices, and we have to balance those choices with the risk versus the benefit. I'll tell you a little story about my kids. I got 2 kids that are laid up today. This morning I had to take my oldest son to the VA hospital. He got hurt in Afghanistan, had several surgeries, and today he had his little tiny baby pinky amputated, and he's going to be fine. But I remember when he applied for the Marine Corps, he was a little guy at that point. Now he's a big, strong man, but at that point he was kind of a little guy. He was only 17 years old. And we went to the recruiting station, and the recruiter said, "Hey, I'll make sure we keep him out of combat. Don't worry, I'll put him in supply or something." And I said, "You know what? He's a man. Let him do what he wants to do." And he decided to go into forced recon, which is the most dangerous thing you could do in the Marine Corps. And he doesn't regret it. And he paid a price for that, and he got injured. But I think that if you talk to him, I know that if you talk to him, he would tell you that the benefits of that, of him being the person he wanted to be, living the life he wanted to live and the way he wanted to live it, it was worth it to make that choice. And what's different between this scenario and the scenario that is happening with us right now is he had the choice. See, you're not being given a choice. You're told you have to live in fear. You're told you have to behave a certain way. And that if you don't do that, you're going to be a pariah. And let's just be completely honest. This is not about science. This is not about medicine. This is about politics. And I can prove it to you because I have to go back a little bit. A couple of months ago, I was feeling very, very sorry for all the people that were living in my city. People were coming to me on the street, they were emailing me, they were calling me, they were texting me, and they were saying in various ways, "We are so desperate. We feel helpless and hopeless. We don't know what's happening to our city. We don't know what's happening to our country, to our county, to our state. And we don't know where we fit in any of this because we don't believe the things that they're telling us we have to believe." And it became clear to me that I had to do something. Now, the easiest thing for me to do as a politician is to stand back and not do anything and just kind of take cover so I don't get in trouble. But I long ago decided that I was going to do the right thing no matter what. So I got out in front of the cameras and I wrote an op-ed and I said, "Look, we are not going to send the police out to arrest people for not wearing a mask. We're not going to send..." If somebody calls up and says, "Hey, my neighbor's having a party, I think there's more than 5 people there, please send the police." And believe me, this is not hyperbole. This happens every day. Our police department gets phone calls to get involved in mask disputes, in neighbor disputes about too many people. There are, what do they call them, Karens out there that are working overtime to snitch on their neighbors. And so I thought it was important that I get in front of people and say, "Hey, don't worry about that. I can't promise you the county won't fine you. I can't promise you the courts won't give an injunction against you. I can't promise you what the state of California will do. But I can promise you that we're not going to roll police on these minor squabbles and disputes involving the COVID-19 outbreak." But more importantly than that, I thought it was important that I stand up and tell people, you're not alone. You're not crazy. Your ideas are not wacko. Your ideas are being championed by a lot of really important people. You look at the Oxford study, which agrees with most everything that you all believe in. You look at the WHO, which a few months ago was the gold standard for this. And now they came out and said, "You know what, social distance or the lockdowns just don't work." And so now they're pariahs. They're not, their opinion no longer is valid. You look at even Governor Newsom, who started this whole process by telling almost everybody is going to eventually be exposed to this, which, by the way, I think is the normal course of events for a virus. So I want to remind you that this is mostly political, and you're being demonized because you are representing a political view that is not popular in the state of California. And so I think, yeah, well, freedom is a big part of that, isn't it? I'm talking too long, but I wanted to give you a couple statistics. By the way, my background is in mental health. I have a doctorate in psychology and an RN, so I'm not completely unaware of some of these things. From the Behavioral Medical Journal, suicide rates are up in some places 145%. There's a RAND study that says binge drinking amongst adults is up 40%. Domestic violence is up at least 10%. And this is the one that really gets to me. Being a kid that came from a divorced family, divorce rates are up 34% this year. Now, there's going to be long-term consequences to this, way beyond the controversy about the virus. The divorce statistics alone will haunt children up into their adult years. It will affect their own children and their grandchildren. The residue of divorce will last for generations. All of this is bad news, and we need to stand up and fight. I'm going to wrap up here, but I remember when President Trump won his election 4 years ago. And, yeah, we're not done there, are we? And people in the FBI and people in the State Department, people in all kinds of government agencies, and people in the media all started the resistance movement. I started hearing that word resist. So I think it's time for us to resist. It's time for us to depoliticize something that's a medical problem, not a political problem. We need to depoliticize it, and we need to begin to resist. It's time to protect those suffering from isolation, suicidality, alcoholism, divorce, domestic violence, education. Oh, by the way, another statistic. You know that if you have a kid in private school like Governor Newsom, 97% of those kids are going to get full-time instruction. You know how many percent of kids that go to public schools get full-time instruction? 3%. Wow. So from all of that, it's time for us to resist. It's time for government to stop trying to criminalize people that just want to keep their businesses open, just want to send their kids to school, just want to protect the Constitution of the United States. It's time for us to resist. Thank you for having me here today. Let's all resist together. God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Bill Wells. Let's give him a big round of applause again. Right now we have Channel 8 doing a mic change right here. All right, keeping that energy going. This time when I say open, you say Cali. Got it? Open. Cali. Open. Cali. Open. Cali. All right, our next speaker today is the Mayor of Coronado, Richard Bailey.
What's going on, San Diego? Hey, do you all remember when the state of California tried to shut down our beaches even though no one ever caught COVID from surfing? Do you remember that? And now they're trying to shut down our small businesses, even though the very small businesses they're trying to close are not actually contributing to the spread based on the data available at the County of San Diego. Bad policy to close down the beaches. It's a bad policy to criminalize small business owners. For the last several months, we've been given this false choice by our representatives that we have to choose between saving lives and reopening businesses. They say that all of us here must not care about lives if we want to get back to work. But the truth of the matter is that of course we care. We care about every life lost. We care about everyone that gets sick. We also care about the kids whose only hope at a better future is to get an education, but they're now falling further and further behind. We care about the number of people that are suffering from depression and substance abuse and poverty. But we also care about the small business owners that are now being faced with this impossible choice of closing up shop, possibly for good, or risking fines from the very government that's supposed to be representing them. We care about the tens of thousands of workers that are now out of work, without a paycheck, that are wondering how are they going to keep a roof over their head and food on the table for their families. The truth is we care about everyone. I know all of us here care about everyone. It is true that the case numbers are rising. It is true that the hospitalizations are rising. But it is also true that the vast majority of transmissions are not coming from the very businesses that they are trying to close right now. So if our objective is to slow the spread of the virus, then why are we closing the businesses that are not responsible for the spread? The real question is, why are these case numbers rising? And we know the answer. We expected these numbers to rise as they typically would rise in the fall and winter time, as most viruses do, as people retreat inside based on the weather and due to the holidays. And we know that based on the data, that the numbers are rising due to gatherings completely unassociated with the very businesses that are being protected. So let's stop punishing the businesses that are doing everything right for their customers and for their workers, that have invested thousands of dollars and hours of training to protect their customers and workers with new protocols. The truth of the matter is that we cannot and that we must not allow these bad policies to continue. We can have a better policy that protects lives and livelihoods, and if we are truly all in this together, then we need to call upon our representatives at the county and the state to create a policy that actually acknowledges that. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bailey. Hey, everybody, this is my 9-year-old son right here. This is the reason why we are all doing this, for a better future for our kids. All right, so this time around, I'm going to say open, you're going to say schools. All right? Open schools! Open schools! Open schools! All right, thank you. Our next guest right now, speaker, is Justin Hart. He makes regular appearances on KUSI News, and he is a data expert. Give a big round of applause to Justin Hart.
Thanks, Amy. Can you guys all hear me in the back there? I'm going to speak a little loud. I heard from my wife. Give a shout out to my wife and 2 kids there. There she is in the back there. Thank you so much all for being here. 400 years ago, a real plague hit the world. And over in Europe, they were suffering mightily. Italy took a big grunt of it. And they were so scared of this disease, which killed 1 out of every 2 people who got it. Imagine those stats. And they were so concerned and so worried about it that they started making up things in their head. They thought that there were foreign infiltrators who were purposely washing the walls in town to spread the disease further. They felt really, really concerned about this. And one day in a church, they saw an older man brush off his pew there in the chapel. Immediately, someone from a distance thought, he's washing the bench. He's washing the bench. He's trying to spread the disease. They took him outside and they beat him to death. I don't want any of that to happen here, but you can see the tension which our leaders are causing by their failed policies. I want you to remember 50, 50, 50, okay? And these are things you can recite off the top of your head when someone tells you what happens, because there is this concept, as we call it, of butterflies and hurricanes. You know this one, right? A butterfly flaps its wing here in San Diego, and somewhere way across the world, maybe in Russia, maybe somewhere else, a hurricane starts, right? You don't know the impact of the policies you put in until you see the effect, and it is a hurricane. 50, 50, 50, 50% of all cancer diagnoses during the peak of the pandemic went undiagnosed. When we looked at the stats, we thought, oh my gosh, these cancer diagnoses this year are really down. That's not the case. COVID didn't cure cancer. No. It was 50% down because people weren't going to the hospital. That's for your first 50. Your second 50, 50% of chemo treatments were missed because people were afraid to go to the hospitals or because it was deemed unessential. I'm sure certain of you know people who have suffered from COVID. You may even know someone who had died from COVID. I bet Every one of you can think of someone over this last year who has died from cancer that maybe you didn't expect. Now, I will also say another 50, and this one's personal because I have a child. 50% of immunizations missed, even the good ones, right? And it was really tough. It's like, that has a statistical impact on everything going forward. Butterflies and hurricanes. I just got a note from someone up in Orange County. I want to read this to you because it's impactful and it affects all of us here, and it's just really, really tragic. He says, Justin, I live in the OC. Both of my elderly parents died this year, 4 months apart. Dad from an undiagnosed glioblastoma in June, and mom from undiagnosed artery blockage causing a stroke last week. 4 months apart. They locked down, and they were afraid to go out at all, even for medical care. Our family is devastated, and they will never be the same. You know, they say that it takes about 10,000 hours to become an expert in any profession, whether you're a violist or an academic, an accountant. 10,000 hours to become an expert in what you do. Our children have lost at least 1,000 hours of in-person learning. They can't get that back. They cannot retrieve that back. And so we're going to have to live with that. We're going to have to boost them extra hard, but we're also going to have to fight really strong to convince our neighbors and convince the people behind us that this needs to open, it needs to change dramatically. 50, 50, 50. Remember those. You can cite those stats off the top of your head. 50 cancers undiagnosed, 50% of chemo treatments missed, 50% of immunizations missed. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you can find me online. You can find us all there. Reach out to other friends. Make it happen. The stats do not speak for them, all right? The data and the truth is on our side. You need to recognize that this is, in many cases, a challenging disease, but we know who it is challenging for, and we can protect them in the right way. Because once you try to protect everybody, as we've come to realize, you protect no one. Thank you all for being here. Let's make it happen.
Thank you, Justin Hart. So we've had representatives from all over this beautiful county. So today, Ramona is in the house. Peter San Nicolas, an owner of a gym in Ramona. Give him a big hand.
All right. Well, you probably know me as the guy that got the 5 misdemeanors. And actually, we went camping somewhere, and some lady recognized that you're the guy with the 5 misdemeanors. Well, I guess that's something to be proud of. There's Gary there, my attorney. But actually, I got those dropped. I did a few things, and the county actually finally, they dropped those. And they actually did it pretty quickly and easily, which was, I don't know, made me think about it a little bit. Why would they give me these misdemeanors but drop them after a couple days of just doing a few little things in my business? But I actually want to tell you a little bit of history about who I am and why I own Ramona Fitness Center. I actually started working out at this gym when I was 11 years old. I came from a home of drug addiction and alcoholism. Both parents in and out of rehab. And I was frustrated. I was very frustrated with my mom, and I wanted her to get better, and I just couldn't, so I was upset. I got in a lot of fights, punched a lot of holes in walls. So she, being the source of my problem, she bought me a membership to Ramona Fitness Center at 11 years old, 1991. And later, I was able to buy that gym. Unfortunately, my mom didn't make it. She died. She overdosed of drug and alcohol. She overdosed. So unfortunately, that happened. But at 21, I had a dream of buying my own business. Actually, it was at 14 years old I wanted to buy this gym. I started working there at 16. But at 21, I was able to buy it. And I want to reach out and I want to talk to each of the business owners. Who's a business owner? Raise your hand. Okay, so there's a few, maybe 10%. And I want to reach out to you because, you know what? It is a little scary going against the government. It's a big entity, and they've got lots of power, and they want to intimidate you. And unfortunately, they came after us gym guys, and us gym guys are, I think, a little bit different because 20 of us are also fighting back against that. But, So we can't let the government erase dreams and what we wanted to do with our business. If it was a restaurant, or if it was a salon, or if it was a bar, or whatever it is, we can't let the government erase that. And I had a dream when I was 14 years old to buy this gym and to change people's lives through fitness. And we just cannot. We can't. We have to stand up. And I'm just reaching out to those business owners. You've got to stand up. If we roll back the tape of the media back to the beginning, what was the goal? Flatten the curve. Was it flatten the curve of deaths? I think it was flatten the curve of people dying. And they had the death toll rolling every day. And somewhere along the line, people stopped dying as much. And so they started putting up the cases. And they keep changing. You know, what's the goal? And we can't keep changing the goal. And there's a cost, obviously. Justin, wherever he is, he actually was on KUSI a couple days ago, and there is a cost. I think he said fentanyl overdoses are up 300%. I did a little research online, and I found that suicides in some areas are up 900%. So there is a cost. If we're talking about saving lives, locking down isn't going to save lives. It's going to cost more lives. For every $10 to $24 million of Americans' income, as a total, as that drops, 7,200 lives will be lost to suicides, to domestic violence, to child abuse, to all of those things that we've been talking about. So how does that work? Okay, we're going to shut down to save, yes, every life is important, but we're going to shut down to save 10 lives, but we're going to cost thousands more lives in these other things. So we just can't do that. We can't do it. And I'm challenging every small business owner to remember your dream of helping people and to not shut down, to keep your business open. Yes, come on, we've got to. So yes, the cases are rising, and I think we had our highest ever day of cases. But the death rate remains stable at about 926 from the very beginning of this. 926 people have died from COVID. And I read somewhere, and maybe you know this, but less than 100 were strictly COVID. Does that sound familiar? Like 45. So how is that justified? It is not justified. So we need to protect, we have to protect those that will be harmed by the virus. And who are those? The older population, over 70, over 80. So those people need to be extra safe, and we need to be extra safe around them. But the rest of us who are free Americans, we need to continue to be free. So tell your business owner friends to open up. You know, they have leverage like ABC, that holds the liquor licenses. And all these licensing organizations, they try to use their leverage against these businesses. And you know what? Sometimes we just got to step up and we got to open up. So let's do that. All right?
Thank you, Peter, so much, and thank you so much for willing to take those misdemeanors on the behalf of the people of San Diego. So for Peter, to support him, I'm going to say open. You're going to say gyms. Open. Gyms. Open. Gyms. Open. Gyms. All right. So they always say follow the science. So we have doctors and we have nurses coming up too. So the founder of 1776, Dr. Courtney Williams.
All right, San Diego. Wow, what an honor to be here. First off, you know, I feel like I don't know my own name lately because we've been going all over the United States. We were in Phoenix for a couple of days, and last weekend I got home for about 2 hours, packed a bag, and then we were on a red eye to DC. And it's amazing to feel patriots like you guys who are coming together to say, you know what? We're tired of the oppression. We're tired of the tyranny. We want our freedom. People died and fought so that we could have it. And they stood for us, and now it's our time to stand for them. It's our time to stand for them. These rallies are amazing. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the men of resolve and conviction that have been on this stage the last hour. Can I get a round of applause for all of them? True patriots. Guys that stand on that wall and they say, the next few minutes is just that resolve and conviction that we need right now. These times of tyranny and these times of oppression, what it takes is people coming together like we are right now. But it takes that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because even after Donald Trump wins this election and we continue, even after the real president, not the president-elect, by the way, my name's President-elect Dr. Courtney Williams, in case you guys didn't know. I'm a president-elect too, and I heard there's about 500 other president-elects in the audience as well. Yeah, who's a president-elect? Anybody? Yeah, we got a few out here, right? When the real president gets reelected, that's only the beginning. These state and local governments, and I'm sure you guys have seen, pardon me for saying, I'll probably be the only one to say, since the COVID scam started, right, and people were put, a tyrannical government said, you know what, we're just going to urinate on the Constitution. That doesn't matter anymore. We're going to put our own agenda out there. We're going to put executive orders out there that strip away rights from the American people and from Californians, and they start to say, well, now we'll just do a beta test for socialism and communism. And I'm not a politician, so I can say these rash things. Thank God, right? But there's a lot of good politicians up here, and they're not really politicians. They're patriots, and that's why they're standing and fighting for all of you. That's why they're standing and fighting for all of you. Because these are guys that are looking between their legs, and they're saying, you know what? I got to stand on that wall, even if I'm not reelected next time, because it's about California. It's not about me. And when my video went viral and it got about 15 million hits, my business partner and co-founder, Chris Lippy, we launched 1776 Forever Free because we saw this tyranny, we saw this oppression. And as a first generation chiropractor, a third generation veteran, and a lifetime patriot, I said, I can't let this happen to my country and the California that I love. And I said, you know what? Because I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old that in 25 years, they're going to be 25 years old, 27, 29, whatever the math is on that. And they're going to be looking back and they're going to be saying, I wonder what it was like when my dad was 25 or 29. Did he have to wear a facial prophylactic? Hashtag facial condom. Did he have to wear that? Was he able to just walk around and be free? Did somebody tell him that, oh, well, you know what? Because the smartest virus in the world transmits the virus through turkey and pumpkin pie, you guys, you can't gather this Thanksgiving. Hashtag no more fun, right? Because Adolf Newsom, the Fuhrer of the world, Adolf Newsom, praise God, he's going to get recalled. Orrin Heatley and Mike Netter are going to get him recalled, and a host of thousands of other Californians that have come together to just say, you know what? We want our businesses open up. Every business is essential. Every life matters. We matter. And so that resolve and conviction that it takes, that's for our kids. Because what I know is you can't anchor an unanchored mind. And when your why is bigger than you can do whatever you want. That's when God starts to answer the call. That's when God starts to get involved. And my why is my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old and my smoking hot wife. But my other why is this right here. This is my why. Because in the last 10 years, 17,046 caskets have come home with flags draped on top of them. 17,046. And what I want you to get about that is every time that we lie down to tyranny, that we kneel to oppression, and that we try to play it safe and play it quiet, we're disrespecting those 17,046 dead bodies. We're disrespecting Arlington and the tombstones there, and we're disrespecting all those names on the Vietnam Memorial. And as we go through this fight today, tomorrow, who knows how long, as we get President Trump reelected, as we continue to get people in office with the resolve of Jim Desmond and Mr. Wells, as we continue to do that, what we have to remember is this flag right here. Amen. The people desecrating it, urinating on it, it makes me sick. When we were in D.C. with 500,000 people, 500,000 strong, they had maybe 400. They didn't want to do anything. But then when moms and small kids and grandparents were walking back to their cars, that's when they attacked them. That's when they burned these. Amen. Amen. And this is so important to me because I don't know if you know what the 13 folds in this triangle mean. It means that this was handed to a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, the next of kin. And I'll never forget when I took the flag, and my grandmother took the flag. Because I grew up in a broken home, and my hero that I was raised by was my papa, my grandfather. In March of 1992, I found out that he got stage 4 cancer. Only had a few months to live. And I remember visiting him. His skin was paper thin. He had tubes all in his body. Couldn't even recognize him. And I fed him his last meal. And I'll never forget when we were at the funeral, when I saw those men in uniform, those men of honor and courage. I saw them fold this flag 13 times. And they handed it to my grandmother. And the officer said, on behalf of the President of the United States Army, and a proud and grateful nation, we commend your husband for his service to this country. And then they handed her this flag. And they handed me this flag. And that's all we had to walk away with and remember my grandfather by. So what I want you to get is when you leave here today, this is great. It's great to have rallies. I do them all over the place. But don't let the enthusiasm in the day and the excitement be in vain. Stand with your resolve. Stand with your conviction. Move the needle, no matter what it costs. No matter what it costs. I spent $80,000 of my own money to do rallies up and down California and across the United States, and I do it 10 times over again. Because I think about this, and I think about the sacrifice. So as you leave here today, what you need to remember is, what can I do to move the needle? How much more time can I put in? How many more rallies can I go to? How many organizations like 1776 Forever Free or some of these amazing patriots? I'm not going to call them politicians, because we know politicians lie through their teeth and they don't stand up for you. These are patriots right here, these gentlemen of office. What can you contribute? How many doors can you knock on? How many rallies can you go to? How can you get involved? That's what it takes to move the needle. So what I need you to do, follow us at 1776 Forever Free. We're going to be in Georgia this weekend, fighting for freedom up there, okay? You can contribute at 1776foreverfree.com. You can go see our merch tent over there. Any sexy shirt like this that you get, which I don't know, I think the best looking women in the world are always conservative women. I'm a little biased, I guess. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, but I'm saying. Make sure you get a shirt. I love you guys. God bless you, and Semper Fi.
All right, you just heard from a freedom-loving doctor, and you've heard from a few good men today. Now you're going to hear from a few good women. How about a registered nurse, Maria Wellner?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to speak to the fact of that I work all throughout San Diego County. I visit every hospital in the county, and I just wanted to speak to the fact that I've been an ICU nurse for 15 years. So in this whole pandemic, I have seen one truly sick patient. I'm not saying there's not sick patients out there. I'm saying that I've seen one truly sick patient that I have come in contact with. You know what I mean? And right now, in general, I have friends throughout all the ICUs in San Diego, and in particular, the one I used to work at has 4 supposedly COVID patients, right? 4 right now in a bed of 13. So And at one point in 2 months, I say maybe May or June, we were overwhelmed in the Chula Vista hospitals. And that was because we were accepting patients from Mexico. You know what I mean? So we have never been overwhelmed here in San Diego County at all in our ICUs and the hospitals. I can speak to the fact that there's empty COVID tents. There's no patients in them being tested, and there's no patients at urgent cares being tested. So, I mean, they're tested once they go in, but the tents outside are empty. So where are these patients that we're saying we're overloaded and we have to lock back down because we're going to overwhelm the healthcare system? That's just not true. It's not true. I also want to speak to the fact that we are not in a COVID pandemic. We are in a PCR pandemic. And that is basically verified by scientists across the world. You can look at the Great Barrington report if you want to go to that. I'll speak to that in a minute. But the government has been calling us to test, right? So, and then the cases keep going up. But the serious question that should be raised in the scientific community and those of us that are medical professionals that should be speaking forward is that the PCR testing that's being performed is not a diagnostic tool to determine an infectious process. It's not. It's not. It absolutely is not. The man who created Kerry Mullis, he died unfortunately right before the pandemic started, right? He clearly, repeatedly, before he died, said that his test should not be used as a diagnostic tool for a simple reason. It's incapable of diagnosing disease. So why are we using a test? That's basically a moot point. It's not being used to diagnose. The CDC actually said on July 13th that the detection of viral RNA may not indicate the presence of infectious virus or 2019 nCoV as a causative agent for clinical symptoms. It definitely said that. The performance of this test has not been established for monitoring treatment of the COVID-19 infection, and this test cannot rule out disease caused by other bacterial or viral pathogens. This test is bogus, in my opinion. Absolutely bogus. And we are using it to say that the cases are going up, and that's why we need to lock down, correct? It's not. The other part of the PCR test that people need to understand is that they're using amplification cycles on it that are basically being, they're upping the amplification. What does that mean? That once the RNA is transcribed to DNA, right? It's such a small snippet that they have to run it through an amplification process. So 35 cycles is what should be a reliable. The World Health Organization, and many of them were using 45 cycles originally to do this test, which actually ups the positive case rates. It absolutely does. It's not reliable, and it should not be done. The other thing I want to stress to you that a positive test is not a case, okay? So medically speaking, a case refers to a sick person. It never referred to someone who had no symptoms of illness, right? So essentially, these asymptomatic cases. So a case, according to Lee Merritt, a case, the media and public health officials appear to purposely conflated cases or positive tests with actual illness. Correct? Yes. So she notes this is not epidemiology. This is fraud. She absolutely says this is fraud. We know this by the Stanford seroprevalence study, correct? If anyone followed that basically they decide that case fatality rate, which is basically those tested for disease, they present to care and they are diagnosed with the disease, and that's how many die out of the group, right? Then you have the infection case fatality rate, which is all the infections that exist in the world or in the country of the U.S. that are not being diagnosed, but that are not being tested, and what is the fatality of that group? And the Stanford study found that it was way higher in the infection rate than the case fatality rate. So this proves that there is rampant infection going on and not cases or actual deaths from the disease or from COVID, if you believe that, right? So what does this all mean for you guys? It means that we're being locked down, our freedoms are being stripped. Why? Why are they being stripped when there is little death, and like the gym owner said, that the death rate has flatlined? Why are we being locked down then? It's because of control. It is control, okay? And we are not going to take tyranny, right? I will agree, and I want to share a couple personal stories. that there have been 2 personal stories close to me with kids 12 and 13. One committed suicide, the other tried. And so we cannot say, you cannot separate lives from livelihood. And you cannot separate the economy from public health and say that there is no downward spiral of all of this. That we cannot say that, like he said, the deaths are going to be so rampant if we stay locked down and we keep people isolated. There are extroverts that need to be out. There are kids that need to be at school. And there are definitely people that need to live their lives. And my other one is that the mask. First and foremost, the mask, right? So, right, a muzzle. Thank you. A muzzle. Yeah. So basically, as far as the mask go, it was proven that people that wore the mask almost or always, often in 2 weeks preceding, they had an 85% positive test rate. So do the masks actually work if you're wearing a mask and you test positive anyways? What are the masks for then? All right. So you're here, and I want to congratulate all of you guys, and I am so proud of each and every one of you guys for being here, for fighting for your rights and your liberty and totalitarianism and government overreach, right, in the name of public health. Go to the what I want you to do and what you can do, go to the Great Barrington Declaration and align with scientists, medical professionals, and concerned citizens throughout the world. Put your name on that, okay? The most compassionate, put your money where your heart and belief and life aligns. Turn off the mainstream media and cancel your cable subscriptions. Hurt them where it hurts. Remove yourself from social media and the technocrats that are censoring you. Move your family into communities that are self-sustainable and under less government control. They cannot control you if they cannot take away the elements of control.
How's that for dropping the science, right? They always say, follow the science. Well, there you go. So right now, I'm going to say follow. You say science, all right? Follow. Science. Follow. Science. Follow. Science. All right, our next speaker, she is a mom of 7. Wow. Teressa Pirano, everyone.
Hello. 8 months ago when COVID started, I was furloughed from work. They told me that I couldn't work because COVID-19 had taken over, which is just like this lady's sign says, I scam bullshit. All 7 of my kids were virtual learning, and I have kids ages 2 to 13. And I don't know if you could imagine having a child in each room on a computer, but it was a little bit crazy. I don't think this COVID stuff is really, oh my God, I'm so nervous. You're doing great. So nervous. They're stripping us of our freedom. They're stripping our kids of their life. They're taking our kids' freedom to just be freaking kids. Gavin Newsom is a joke. He's a joke. He can go and he can party with his friends, but he can tell us that we can't have our family for Thanksgiving. Him and Pelosi can kiss one. I don't know what else to say. I've tried to get unemployment and couldn't get unemployment, been furloughed from work for 8 months. Our income has dropped more than half. We have 7 kids, plus my grandma that I'm taking care of, and my little sister. And I don't even know what we're gonna do, you know? Honestly, they're shutting down businesses, they're shutting down families, and I don't think it's fair. I think we need to stand up for what we believe in and fight for what's ours. Thank you.
Was she amazing? Did I mention that she is a mom of 7? Yeah. Okay, so we have the moms in the house. Next up, Helen Hollis, mom.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit. My #1 title is mom. My second title is wife. And my third is I'm a social work investigator in a law firm here in San Diego, working surrounded the child welfare system. So personally in my home, I'm going to tell you what safety looks like. We have a safe with our knives, dog leashes, anything that would make my son feel unsafe because he has pretty significant diagnoses. I fought since he was in kindergarten. He's 13 now, in 8th grade. Academics is not an issue. It is psychiatric, social emotional regulation, and reactive attachment. My son has an IEP for emotional disturbance. If I was qualified, even with my social work degree, to homeschool him, I would have his whole life, right? I'm not qualified. I fought with attorneys and made years of payments for those really good attorneys to fight for the rights of my son's educational rights, okay? And so I fought. He goes to a non-public school here in San Diego, which I love the school. I love the people, but as you know, we are all being oppressed. And so I don't care what you call it. You're stealing my son's educational rights. And what that means for me is you're trying to kill my son. That's what that means for me. Because when he gets isolated, he doesn't know how to communicate. He can't regulate. He can't tell you sometimes how he's feeling, right? And so I'm afraid some nights when I go to sleep, I go and double check the safe. There's no knives out. There's no dog leashes out, okay? That's not fair for my son. And imagine trying to work with a vulnerable population and try to keep your son alive and homeschool at the same time. I almost don't even care about the academics. That's how serious it is for me. He needs his medication, he needs his in-person services, occupational therapy, therapy. They have 6 students in each classroom, okay, 6, and 4 staff. Are you telling me you can't in person serve these children? And I looked it up today on kidsdata.org for San Diego County only. How many children, what's the percentage of children that have an IEP in San Diego County? 14.2% have IEPs. And 14.2%, am I too loud? 14.2% kids' educational rights are being violated. Okay, I don't care about lawsuits. I don't care about how much money I could get from a lawsuit. If my kid's dead, the whole world ends for me. You know, and this kid is my #1 life passion. Okay, and so I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please open these schools. It is isolation creates mental illness. Okay? It creates it. So now here you want to talk about, you want to talk about protecting vulnerable populations. Who's more vulnerable than our children? Right? Who's more vulnerable? It is our children. Guess what? You isolate these children, you create this mental illness, you fear-monger our children until they are so afraid that they have permanent diagnoses. And then in 25 years, like that doctor said, wherever he is, 25 years, you expect them to get up and lead this county? You get up and expect them to lead this country when you've created this? That's not fair. Okay, now on my professional side, we have these children, there are children who only eat at school. They do not eat at home. They're in school getting those 2 meals, breakfast and lunch. Then they go home, they don't get any meals. So guess what? Yeah, I know we give away free meals at the schools. Okay, well, that's when you have a parent that's going to go get the meal. Okay, that's great. That's good. But the vulnerable population that we're talking about here that doesn't get those meals are the ones that are locked in, not being fed, okay? What about the ones that are sexually abused in their home? What about the ones that are being physically abused? You thought everybody was appalled by the Gabriel Fernandez story? That's happening here in San Diego. And guess what? Our teachers, our mandated reporters are not seeing these kids because they're out of school. So they're not being reported. Our infrastructure that is supposedly put together to, support these children, it's not in place. It's not in place. So you tell me how much you care about our children. You want to riot about our children in cages? Guess what? Our children are in their homes, in cages. Right? I mean, don't tell me for a minute you care about our children's rights. Do not tell me for a minute when you have my son at home, scared to death, and I prevent him from watching the news. But guess what? He's 13. He's on social media. Plus, he has interaction with the other kids in class and in school, and they explain why they can't have in person, right? So he does get information, and I try to translate that for him. All right? But he's afraid. And so not only that, you're exacerbating his already there diagnoses. And it's just not fair. What am I supposed to do? I can't go and force the school to open. All I can do is try to keep my son alive. So, I'm a little bit lost because I get a little passionate and emotional, but I really wanted to plead. It's not just our children that are special needs and have IEPs. Now you have high-functioning children, right? What happened to the minimize your 1 hour of screen time a day for your children, right? You're going to make these mass murdering children if you let them play video games for more than 1 hour a day, okay, shaming the parents. Yet you expect them to stay focused in front of a computer for 4 or 5 hours a day, okay? So, pick your narrative, will ya? And we'll figure out if we're going to go with it. But don't give me that bullshit about you're worried about the screen time for my kid. So I really do, I beg you all, please help us get these schools open. Help us keep what about closing Walmart? Just close Walmart, close Target, right? Close all these big corporations, right? Close the big corporations and let these small businesses meet the need. Let them grow, right? So for my closing thought, I just wanted to tell you, because my son, his name is Adam, my whole life, and so I asked him it would be too overwhelming for him to come. I did ask him to come. He wanted to do a rap against Gavin Newsom. I don't know. I told him, no, we're not going to do that. But so I did. I asked him, I said, what is it, if there's one message I can pass off to you to tell these people, how does it feel for you to not be able to go to school? You know what he said? I feel like I don't live in a free country. Yeah. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. We have 3 speakers left, and the sun is going down in beautiful San Diego. The next speaker, she's close to my heart. She's my co-conspirator and the co-organizer of this rally, Allison Hartman.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I just want to say a big thank you to Amy Reichert, because this wouldn't have happened if she wouldn't have texted me Sunday night saying, I think we're going into purple. We have to do something. So we did something. Look what we did. I'm just a mom Look what I did in 1 week. So guess how powerful we are. They don't want us to know this. So I wanted to talk about a couple things. I know that this has gone long and you know, I don't want to keep you all out here, but a couple points. As far as I know, we still have the Constitution in this country. So the only way they can lock us down and impose any restrictions is if there's a state of emergency. A state of emergency, as defined by the California Constitution, is roughly that our medical services are overwhelmed. Well, you've heard from data expert Justin Hart, you've heard from nurse Maria Wellner, from Dr. Courtney Williams. We are not overwhelmed. There is no state of emergency. Anybody attempting to lock a population down under fraudulent measures will be charged accordingly. Fraud carries jail time. I demand to see where they're getting their data from. I want to know what platform they're using to collect this data. It needs to be fully transparent to the citizens of this city. And we want to know who to hold accountable. Who is the person in charge of the data? Because if we find out that this data is fraudulent and you've been complicit in it and locked us down and locked our kids down and kept them out of school, you're going down, man! You can imagine how my kids feel when I get a little like this. They're like, Mom, you're embarrassing us. But that's okay, I said. Do you want to live in a free country or not? So what can we do? Well, if it only took me and another mom 1 week to organize this whole thing and get 2 mayors, a supervisor, a bunch of amazing speakers, and all you guys here, then I think that there's a heck of a lot we can do. So, my group is called Reopen San Diego. We are reopensd.org. You can go there, sign up with your email, and we're going to let you know further actions. We're going to let you know when they have a Board of Supervisors meeting, how to call in, how to submit a comment, where to go, what to do. We'll keep you informed. Sign up for all the other speakers' websites. You heard Justin Hart. He's got Rational Ground. Amazing website with all the facts and figures for you. But we've got to hold their feet to the fire, and we don't have to consent to this. I think this might be bigger next week. We might have to do this again because I heard that they had an emergency meeting today. Emergency because there was cases. And I looked at the report. 0 deaths. I don't care about cases. Do you? So I do care about people. Let's protect the vulnerable. If those people are at risk, they can stay home, and let's let the rest of us get about the business of this country. God bless America!
I just feel like we need to start chanting USA, 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 USA. Woo! Coming up next, the owner of Time Out Sports Tavern, Sarah Piha.
Wow. Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Piha. My husband owns Time Out Sports Tavern, so that pretty much makes me the first lady of the restaurant or something like that. I think at this point, it's clear we're on the same page. We want to safely, securely, and effectively get small businesses affected by the tiered structure system moving forward in a positive, profitable, and safe direction. We want to work with and remain an integral part of our community. At Time Out Sports Tavern, most of our staff has been with us over 5 years. In industry world, that's a long time. My husband and I got married 3 days before the pandemic. This is not how we expected to have our honeymoon. You see, these are the people who work for us, are the people who gave the speeches at our wedding. They are the best group of people you've ever met. You have never in your life met a closer staff. We're a family. The first time that the restaurants were able to open again with restrictions, the announcement that we could open back up was made at like 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m., and half an hour later in the pitch dark, we were all together in a team meeting. We went through the state regulations one by one and created processes that met or exceeded each and every single standard. The next day, we were in the restaurant early, putting all of our plans into action, and let me tell you, we were successful. Our customers and our staff felt safe and secure. And since then, we've only been continuing to add more processes to see wherever we see fit to make things safer and more secure. We have cleaning protocols for every little detail of the restaurant, proper furniture arrangement, signage, front of the house and back of the house procedures, sanitizers, masks, customer behavior standards, and more. We are proud to say that we have had 0 cases of COVID among our staff. And our restaurant has been linked to 0 COVID outbreaks. This includes the time period that we were allowed indoor dining, outdoor dining, and everything else they had us do in between. Dr. Wooten, our very own San Diego health director, stated that the recent increases in COVID cases are not from the sectors of the community just closed in the purple tier. In fact, the closure of indoor dining will only push people to have private in-home gatherings where the majority of these transmissions have been coming from. She states, penalizing the impacted sectors for the increased cases is wrong, as these sectors continue to do the right things while trying to weather the ongoing pandemic and back and forth reopenings. She's right. Try getting customers to sit outside when it's chilly or when it's rainy, especially at night now with the new time change. Look it, we're losing sunlight as we go. And in downtown, we unfortunately have a huge homeless problem as well. So doesn't going to your buddy's house sound a lot more comfortable than sitting outside in those conditions? But you see, at your friend's house, are people washing their hands frequently, sanitizing the furniture and doorknobs and even the things you would never in a million years think about sanitizing? Are they keeping their distance, serving food safely? Are they even being safe? You see, the fact of the matter is now, whether you like it or whether you don't. Between 2020 being the longest and most difficult year ever, I think we can all agree with that, plus the holidays coming up, social distancing is becoming more and more lenient for people. Even some of the most absolute cautious people I know are making exceptions for Thanksgiving. We all know that bartenders don't just make drinks, they offer therapy at a very discounted rate. See? You all know that. Now, additionally, they, among ourselves and the rest of our staff, are COVID prevention warriors, meticulously cleaning and following protocols to make sure people of all backgrounds can safely get the socialization that they've been craving in a safe, low-risk, and highly controlled environment. You see, joining together to ensure small businesses stay open is not just about burgers, and it's not just about beer either. It's about the culture of getting together. And getting together right now is a whole lot safer in a public place with strict standards and regulations than in your buddy's living room. It's about continuing to be an integral part of our community. It's about the livelihoods of the people who own and the people who work for them. What color tier represents that? Thank you.
Awesome, and in that spirit, we are in the purple tyranny, as you know, which puts restaurants outside. So now I'm going to say no, and you're going to say purple. No. Purple. No. Purple. No. Purple. All right, our final speaker is Tariq Wasimi, and he is with Flaming Pho Sushi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tariq Wasimi, and I'm the owner of Flamin' Fun Sushi Bar. Yes, I'm an African-American immigrant who owns a Vietnamese and Japanese restaurant. If that isn't the American dream, I don't know what is. It truly shows that when we work hard here, you can accomplish anything. Here we are again, facing another shutdown. Meanwhile, the statistics show that restaurants, gyms, hair salons, and other small businesses are not the source of the increase in cases. But I guess it's easier to shut them down than conglomerates like Costco, Target, Walmart. I have a question. What if the vaccine doesn't come out in January, February, March, or all next year? Are we still going to be shut down? This not only affects our livelihoods, but it affects our mental health. I'm starting to lose my mind. Every time I hire someone, giving them hope that that person has a job that they can rely on. But due to these regulations, I gotta let him go? I hate that feeling, man. And I have to live with that. But I can't be concerned about myself. Because when I fired that employee, they have a family, they have kids, and they have their mental health. And I feel like because of Sacramento, I'm the cause of their pain. The statistics show that depression's on the rise, suicide's on the rise. The shutdown is the reason for that. Now I know there's many in this building and some in Sacramento that could care less about what I gotta say. But I know the people here care. The people that are listening care. And I can come here to you and plead to you as a minority business owner, as a person who served in the military, but I don't want your sympathy. I don't want anybody's handout. I need the people here to make sure that they call their representatives tomorrow. Make sure that our voices are heard. We put these people in power and we can take that power away from them. We must know that these people that represent San Diego, we must take control away from Sacramento and let San Diego make decisions for San Diego. Because us small businesses, we've been fighting this since March. And we've been working hard and we know what we're doing. Let us operate. Let us go back to our livelihoods.
Thank you so much, Tariq. And I've always wanted to say this. More cowbell. All right. How many of you are small business owners here in the crowd? Gary over here is an attorney. He will represent you for free. Please seek him out. There is help. We're together on this. And I just want to say it's time to reopen San Diego. It's time to reopen California. And I've also always wanted to say this. Stay classy, San Diego.